100% right. And what it sounds like you're saying is that, we can't rely on the consumer's perceived value of us as a business solely based on the product that we sell. We actually need to provide more value. It's not just the benefit of doing business with me as, let's say, dealership ABC is not that you just purchase an item and you drive away with that, but there has to be more value to that transaction. Is that what I get?
100%. Do you mean, I stole this off another teacher before me, but people need to feel that it's people over profits and reputation over revenue. They're the key things that always stick in my mind when I'm looking at influencing. I don't want somebody to know, yes, I do have an amazing product or solution I can sell you, but I want to put the person over the profit.
For freshly brewed discussion on automotive sales and marketing, this is Coffee with Jason. The Coffee with Jason podcast is sponsored by Closer's Coffee. For that full-bodied, rich, sweet flavor with a bright acidity, drink Closer's Coffee, stay caffeinated, and keep on closing. Find out more at closerscoffee.ca.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
No, man, I appreciate you coming on board. I know what we've been admiring and following each other from a distance, so it's really cool to finally connect. And us entrepreneurs, we got to stick together, right? And anything that we can do to kind of help that group and help that audience kind of develop out, what their craft is. I think it's important. I'm a little niche where I am. I focus in the automotive sector, especially here in Canada. Even though I'm originally from the States, so okay. I'm not even Canadian, but I put on a Canadian automotive podcast. So that's
that's great. I grew up in an automotive industry family. My father was a dealer principal for 10 years. And I used to love on the weekends going to the office and looking at the cars and going, how many did you sell today? What's the go? And I actually worked with him for about a year doing some stuff, and very exciting. And I've got a lot of appreciation and respect for the community and that industry. So that's great.
You know what it takes. I mean, it's a hustle. It's a real tough go, and what's going on right now in the industry, just as a whole, and this is not just in Canada or the US, but globally, is we're hitting a plateau. We've had the industry have had several years, 3-4 years, continuous digital double-digit growth, and now we're heading into a space that we're beginning to plateau out. A lot of manufacturers, both locally and globally, are not looking at huge increases in sales, and in fact, they're looking at possibly flat numbers, or even in some cases lower numbers. So I like to work, directly with what we call that tier one dealership, the dealership, just like what your father would have owned, right? Working directly with those guys, and really trying to help them develop strategies to, future-proof their business to what's coming down that pipelines, right? And I think a lot about what you've been talking about, a lot about what you've been pushing, is so relevant to that audience. I wanted to come on and really start to expand out on that. But, like I said, I really appreciate you taking the time, coming on, Michael, and chatting with us tonight. For everybody out there that may not know who you are, let's take a couple minutes and let you introduce yourself and what you guys are currently doing right now and how you kind of got there.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thank you for having me. So I'm with a company called Success Resources. We've been in the personal development education game for 25 years, dealing with, probably 500,000 clients a year come through our doors to events all around the world, in Canada and in North America, but many other regions. And we've had a great relationship with Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, Gary Vee. There's so many people we've put on our stages. But for me, I'm from the automotive industry many, many years ago, probably around 18 years ago. But for me, I'm passionate about education, passionate about taking great quality information and helping entrepreneurs grow themselves, their businesses, and ultimately impacting their family. So they're the things that kind of excite me and get me going.
And that's great. And that's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to have you on here, is because you have that passion to educate. Now, we talked a little bit just before we started this about what the automotive industry is currently dealing with. And when it comes down to it, especially for dealerships at that tier 1 level, there are simply not enough people in market for a car to actually satisfy all these dealerships' goals and objectives. So we can't necessarily rely on just people that are going to be in market for our product. We're actually going to have to start creating audiences.
Right.
And you have some experience in creating audiences, in fact, at a very mass level. So what advice can you give, to that dealership out there that's looking to create an audience, one that's not necessarily actively pursuing their product, one that could potentially at some point in time be interested in the product?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think every industry is doing it tougher at the moment, and automotive is no different. But the common objective is automotive dealerships need to position themselves, which is in a very competitive market. Do you mean when I was involved in the automotive industry, on our street we had 5 other dealers, and back in the day the clients actually walked along the street. Now they don't walk along until they've probably been online. So what's going to make you stand out above and beyond the competition who's probably on your street? You need to get to a point where you've got to position yourself as the authority, as the expert, as the dealership that's going to be, family friendly. It's going to be one that's perceived to have great service, great customer service, and a fun environment to be around. So you need to first and foremost go, what is our values? Who are we? What do we stand for? What are the things that we want to create? Once you understand that as a team, you start to put a strategy in place. And that strategy can be around, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to start to grow our perception and start to be recognized online for these core values of who we are and what we stand for? Yeah, you might be a part of a bigger brand. You might be a part of the Ford family or whatever it is. But what is your dealership going to stand for? And does your client understand that? Do they feel that?
Yep.
Whether it's from an online perspective, whether it's on the floor in the dealership. So who are you? What do you stand for? And then how can you start to build that reputation about educating and starting to differentiate yourself from the marketplace? I'm speaking to a lot of business owners in many different fields. And let's be clear, the experts in the space, the ones who are doing things authentically and doing things at a high level are the ones who typically get the business.
Yeah, no, 100%.
20% of the audience are those top tier people or those top tier dealerships who are getting a lot of the business. The other 80% need to look at what they stand for and then need to scream it from the hilltop and go, hey, this is who we are. This is what drives us. This is what's important to us. And we want to let you guys know that this is what we stand for. So you need to be rising yourself above the noise and the competition and building a presence that you are different to the marketplace. That's first and foremost. I mean, I could spend hours on this, but those key things are the first things I'd be telling any dealer principal on what they need to do in their business.
And that's true, right? These dealerships need to define out, what I call their branding cornerstones are, and I like the concept of a cornerstone or maybe a foundation. That kind of works too. It's what holds up the entire business. And these cornerstones not only support their marketing efforts, but also support their operational efforts as well. But we don't seem to spend enough time doing that. We kind of think in this industry that our brand is dictated by the manufacturer that we're representing. Yeah. That's not really the case, though. We are all individually owned companies, and we do have a brand within that. We need to, like you said, we need to spend more time to finding out what that brand is. Now let's say we have had a dealership that does define out what that brand is. Now we got to execute on that. So what does that look like? It's not enough just to say, that we're a customer-centric dealership or we're going to be the ones that provide you a fun experience, because I think when it comes to car buying, not a lot of people think it's a very fun experience, right? It's right up there with like visiting your lawyer or going to the dentist, for crying out loud. So it's enough that we say it. We actually have to execute on it. What do you think that looks like for dealerships?
Look, in this day and age, it needs to start from the leader and the dealer principal first and foremost. It needs to resonate all the way down to, the service guys, whoever it is, right? Then we need to have an outward focused approach to that. What is the social media coming? Is your social media feed here's today's specials, here's what it's all about. Is it all selling, or is it more about, hey, here's who we are, here's what's important to us? I really feel that social media is a great platform to educate rather than sell. And I believe if education is the first point of the sale, is going out there and educating them, I do believe the clients will trust you enough to come back and buy that next vehicle with you. So identify what's your cornerstone, your foundation, what's important. Let the community know that. And how do you do that? By giving value, giving information. Start giving away some of the secrets, or here's the 5 tips to trust your dealer on your next purchase. So come up with an education component. And I think social is an easy platform to deploy that. And just come up with and go, hey, we've got an online team, but let's start to have a look at what can we do to push out content that's enriching the client, giving value, and ultimately positioning you as an authority above and beyond some of those other dealers on the road.
No, you're 100% right. And what it sounds like you're saying is that, we can't rely on the consumer's perceived value of us as a business solely based on the product that we sell. We actually need to provide more value. It's not just the benefit of doing business with me as, let's say, dealership ABC is not that you just purchase an item and you drive away with that, but there has to be more value to that transaction. Is that what I get? Kind of
100%. Do you mean I stole this off another teacher before me? But people need to feel that it's people over profits and reputation over revenue. They're the key things that always stick in my mind when I'm looking at influencing. I don't want somebody to know, yes, I do have an amazing product or solution I can sell you, but I want to put the person over the profit. What can I do to have a longer sales funnel? I think, in every industry, but especially the motor industry, because it's so competitive, it's almost like I need to get a sale today. Whereas if you take a backward stance and go, let me educate you, let me share with you what is the important things about transacting and having a relationship with a dealership. Even if you don't transact that to 3-6 months down the track, and the way that you execute that strategy might mean you get the next 5 cars in their family. Does that make sense? It's
100%. I mean, you're building brand equity, right? I mean, so by educating them, and I agree with you. I think educating and I like to also entertain as well. But by combining both those elements to them, that we're providing more value than just the product that they ultimately end up purchasing. I think the thing, we can talk about this, but it's like, how do we get them to just do it? Isn't that the hardest part, is that initial step of just, hitting that little red button on my phone and starting to create, some educational content, and putting it out there, for the people that are sitting there right now at home watching or listening to us, and they're doing one of these, they're sitting there and they're shaking their heads up and down. The next question was, why the hell haven't they started doing it? What advice can we give to those who are just right there on the fence, and we just need to almost just shove them off the ledge?
And this is where the rubber hits the road. This is where all the philosophies and all that need to come down to action. I always like to make a decision and then build processes so I can't escape or I can't activate a plan B. Here's what I'd be saying to anyone who's listening now. Schedule in the next 24 hours an opportunity for you to get your phone and just start creating some content. I'm not saying push the go live button yet, but if you were an expert in your field, as all of you guys listening to this are, what would you do? What would be the 3 key things you'd want to share with a prospective buyer on what they need to be cautious of, wary of, they must know, and just take off the sales hat for a minute and put on the education hat, the leader hat, and just put your phone there and go, hey, here are my 3 tips on what I've learned for 6 years, 10 years, 20 years of being in this industry that I think every buyer should know. So what I would be doing is I'd be getting that phone, putting your hand and start recording first and foremost. The second thing I'd be doing is starting to go and getting familiar with this and starting to schedule different times in your day, your week, or your fortnight to actually do content.
It's all about the routine. Yep.
And build a routine around it. I mean, I talk with a lot of people and we educate them in saying everyone should be running an event. You should be running an educational event. I can even see it happening in dealerships, right?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Saturday morning, we got the sausages on the barbecue out the back. Come along and spend an hour or 45 minutes with one of our key guys on understanding the benefits of buying a car, the process, how easy it is, the things, the pitfalls, all the things you need to know, right?
Yep.
What I would say to people is start educating them. Of course, this is an easy way to do it. But when you start getting prospects coming into your dealership or coming in after work and doing something, and there's, it's a 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock session, and you're in there and you look at the cars, and if you're interested in buying but you're not quite there yet, this is an information-based evening on how you can understand more about it. I mean, you tell me, how many people are running seminars or information evenings inside their dealerships?
Not a lot. We have started to see a increase in what we call a know your car night. So this typically happens, after the delivery, though. And it's not necessarily, I see where the opportunity is. You should be opening it before the delivery. That's that soft touch into it. So what happens is that I take delivery. It's almost like a second delivery where I get to come back in, maybe ask some of the questions that I didn't know I had when I first picked up the car. Now I've driven the car for a few weeks. I get to come back and do that. That's about the only type of, I would say, education piece that's going on. Occasionally, I'll see a dealership, when a vehicle launch happens, that they'll do kind of a launch party. But even then, it's pretty limited in its educational format. It still feels very self-serving. Do you know what I mean? Like you go into one of these launch parties, it seems very self-serving. But I get what you're saying, and I can see. I would almost challenge dealerships to do it in the service department. Bring not just your existing database, but bring anybody off the street and show them how to do an oil change.
Yeah, I love that.
Show them how to replace the air filter. What it is like you're kind of, you're putting yourself out of business by showing them to do so. But at the end of the day, they'll have to make the decision to either take the time and do it themselves or have someone else execute on it, which I think majority of people will end up doing. But you're showing this and you're creating this brand equity by showing it to them. And there's a transparency, right?
Absolutely. And look, you may lose 1 in 10 who comes to that, who now is going to change their oil themselves. I'm telling you now, if you got me to come, I ain't changing my oil either way, right? But
not either.
I get out of that and go, you know what? That dealership, those guys are educating, they're putting on this, and I feel comfortable with it. I feel like I almost know them. I've been in there. They've shown me around. But I would applaud everyone listening to this to go, in the next 45 days, go out to your client base, your prospect base, go back to your service clients and say, hey, we're running an information evening about how to get the most out of your Ford or your Buick or your Lincoln or whatever it is. This is purely free. We're going to put on, depending what time of day is, coffee and biscuits or whatever it may be, right? And this is purely to help you. And as a platform, if you've got questions about your car or you've got questions about something, put it on. The beautiful thing about you guys is that you don't need to go book a room. You've probably got coffee facilities on site.
We got tons of space. We really do.
And it's great. You can move a car around, put 20 to 50 seats, in the dealership and put it on. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying someone's going to buy a car that night. But if you track those people and you track their buying habits and what they do, I'm telling you now, at some point, those people will come back because they feel comfortable with you. You've educated them. And most importantly, they feel it was people over profits and reputation was more important than revenue. If you do that, I think it'll get to a point where every month you'll do this.
You know what? I love this idea. I love the concept of dealerships. Stop selling. Let's start building some brand equity and let's educate people and show them that it's not just about that singular transaction we care about. That we really do care about you as an individual and your vehicle needs, so much so that there's no secret sauce here. Hell, we'll show you how to do it. We're going to put it out there. Now, putting on events, It's your expertise. I'm right now, me and my team, we have 6 events that we're putting on, and holy crap, even putting an event on for 30 to 50 people is a crap load of work. What advice can you guys, give as far as, developing that event? Do you guys storyboard the event? How do you get to market the event? Where do you start?
Look, the starting point is always, like I said, pick a date, lock the door behind you, and can't get out of it. There's a lot of people who build things and go, hey, we're going to get the marketing right. We're going to get our strategy. What's the presentation going to look like? And once we've got all that, we'll pick a date. Guess what? It never happens, right? It's just nothing will ever be perfect. I run 500 events a year. I'm telling you now, the clients probably don't see it, which is good, but there's something that happens every single event that doesn't go according to plan.
Something's on fire, right? Something breaks down, something blows up.
Somewhere it does. So pick a date and go, you know what? 15th of April at 7 p.m., we're doing something. Or Saturday at 11 a.m. with the sausages on the barbecue going and all those kind of things. And send the invites out. Lock the door behind you. Once you've sent the invites, you can't retrace it.
It is what it is. I mean, it's done. You're committed to it. Now you're going to have to see it through.
That's it. So do that first. Then it's going to give you, a month or whatever that time frame is to pedal like crazy and go, here's a social media strategy. Guys, we know that, over the last sort of 20 years, we've been passionate about selling you your family's vehicle. Now we're looking to educate and inspire and look at new people coming to the market who don't have an understanding like some of our clients do. We're putting on this evening, we're putting on this event purely to educate you. It'll be no cost, we're covering it, and it's purely an opportunity for you to understand how the industry works, if there's questions about our particular product. So then all of a sudden you've got an authentic message. Mm-hmm. You could do some videos from your dealer principal or your sales manager. I'd be also getting a service manager and just going, guys, if I'm going to be here, I'm turning up and I'm going to share with you the key things that every car owner needs to know about how to make sure you're not coming in to get serviced every 6 weeks, every 6 months. Do you know what I mean? These are things that are just so different or so obscure in that market because, like all of us, back in the day, it was like, how many people could we get and transact with us?
Well, it's all about me. I mean, everything we did, every piece of creative, every ad that we posted out there was incredibly self-serving. Even the way we wrote the ad copy was incredibly self-serving. Now
it's not just you guys; it's every industry.
That's true. Yeah,
it's everyone, right?
And now the consumer's gotten smarter. They're not getting caught up into this self-serving message. In fact, what they're looking for is a message that actually serves their needs and kind of goes forward. I was today I ordered something from Amazon, and I have an Amazon. There's a fulfillment center that's actually not too far from us, so we get same-day delivery from Amazon, which is awesome. Now they dropped that package off at my front door, took a picture of it, and through their app sent me a picture that package has been delivered. Now, think about that. Think of how much tech, how much process, how much time it had to go in to just send me this one little picture that this package was delivered. I mean, how does that bring them value? The value is completely on me. The value is for me, not for them, but huge branding equity. Equity.
Yeah, and these are the same strategies I think you can use. I would even test or get any salesperson listening to this to do a follow-up video, 24 hours after they take delivery. It's like, hey, Jason, I just wanted to do a quick follow-up. I'm so grateful you bought through us. And I know it's going to be an amazing car for you and your family. It's got great security, great features. You're going to have so much fun. I just wanted to let you know that I'm grateful for you as a client. And just send a quick text video like that.
Michael, it sounds like you've done this before. That was actually pretty damn good. I'm just going to say.
It doesn't matter which business you're in. This is a powerful tool. And you talk about tech, right?
Yeah.
Amazon went through and probably spent millions figuring out huge system. We've all got one of these. We can all send a quick message. And what would happen if 3 months later you sent that same video or a new one? Jason, actually 90 days since we took delivery. I'm just looking over this. I'm so grateful that you did this and you trusted us. And I just want to know you're having fun with it and you're enjoying it, get the most out of it. If there's a component that you don't understand yet, there's a button you keep looking at and you don't know what it does yet, that's why I'm here. What does that do for the client? Do they start talking about Jason? Do they start going, hey, you guys need to get down to this dealership, tell Jason I sent you? I think this is all a part of an education process that starts with an information evening, or it starts with posts on Facebook saying, here are our tips, here's us, right through to post delivery and post, 3 months in the vehicle. That's the education component that I think all dealerships need to start to employ.
So let's go back to the event, because I really like that idea. And here's what I see happen with dealerships is they try something and it doesn't work the first time. And they're done. They're never going to do it again. I'm sure you put on some events, the 500. I'm sure not every single one was a home run. Was there maybe a couple that didn't go so well? What kind of advice can you give to the people out there that say, okay, cool, I'm going to do this, but let's prepare them for a failure, right?
Yeah. So look, I think at first define what would be a great outcome from executing this strategy. I always say to people, could you find 50 people on your database, your client base, within your community to have show up? First and foremost, that is the number one goal for me. It's not how much you transact. It's not what happens from there. If you've got 50 people willing to give you an hour or two on a Saturday or an evening, I think that's a home run. I think, and that's going to need some strategy. You're going to need to put in that 30 days. You're going to need to do a bit of Facebook stuff. You're going to need to go maybe a mail out to your database to saying, hey, we've got an information evening, or on every new car that goes out, there's a thing on the seat, or on every service, it's like, don't forget, on the 15th of April, come back. We're going to share this, and this. So you got to do the work, right?
Yep.
You're going to be committed to make this work. But if you get 50 people show up, who give you a couple of hours. And in this day and age where 50 people aren't just walking into a dealership anymore, right?
No, not at all.
I'm giving you 2 hours of my time. I'm putting the kids in daycare, or I've got someone looking after them. I'm going to be there. I'm going to leave my office early to come to this session. You got 50 prospects. I don't care what you say. You got 50 people who are potentially a client for you. Mm-hmm. So your first port of call is pick a number you think you can go for. You're probably going to be, this is a little trick, you're going to need double what you think to then show up. You're going to need 100 registrations to get 50. And then all your intention is not to try and sell them a car on that point. You get people to start to engage and ask questions, understand. You have some of your salespeople around who can be there purely to help advise. You're not even looking to book an appointment. If someone says, hey, I do want to get a bit more of a feel about this one, I'm going to take it for a drive, of course, schedule the appointment. But I think you need to have realistic goals. If you get 50 to show up, I think that's a big tick. And I think you can do a lot from that. As long as you tag those, understand where they go, follow them up accurately. 50 would be a success. Then you need to start to look at, great, we got them to show up. How do we get them in the next 20 to 30 days? Look at helping them make a better decision around what they're looking to do.
Sure.
So don't look at it as a one-step thing. Look at it as it's a tick if they show up.
I think that totally makes sense, right? I mean, how can we start developing on a strategy if we don't actually have a goal and objective in mind, right? So you're right. First thing first, just create the goal. It can be any goal you want. It could be 15, it could be 30, it could be 50, it could be 75. It doesn't really matter what the goal is, but first define what that goal is. And then what I would recommend is if your goal is 50, then once we know what the goal is, then we have to define the audience that's going to help us meet that goal, right? So, who would you say profile-wise would be the highest probability of people to show up to the event? Would it be people that have owned the cars for several years, or maybe people that have recently purchased or recently serviced those vehicles? I would probably say it's the recent one because they've engaged with you, and then how are we going to target those individuals? And then once they come in, would it be safe to say that, when you are educating, is that you always want to try to keep who that audience is in mind. I mean, it's kind of like what we're doing right now, right? We're creating content. We know who our audience is. Our audience are dealerships and other entrepreneurs that are looking to try to really expand, their efforts, and that's why we're creating this content for them. Yeah, so I mean, I guess you got to make that content during the educational period relevant to that audience.
Absolutely, and you might look at it and go, "Wow, we've got, we sold 100 vehicles last month. In the last quarter, we've sold 300." And maybe you target those people. You need to really identify what the goal is. Are we looking for new business here? Are we looking for, because we've got a challenge where we don't get a retention in our service department, so we may want to get to that. Identify what it is. But I'd also be looking at, probably the first one is somebody who hasn't bought a car yet. Who's been, inquiring about certain things but never come in, never done anything. There's plenty of salespeople who have that, and they get their leads from online and they just don't convert them. So I would even look at it and go, the first one's going to be a holistic thing for new business potential. We're going to have our service department manager come in and share 15 minutes on the importance of understanding and value around service. We're going to have our finance lady or bloke come in and go, hey, did you know that 9 times out of 10 people, structure their purchase incorrectly and they don't get the tax advantages and those kind of things. Again, it's not a sales opportunity. It's just to educate.
Yep.
People come in and if you can find 50 people who come in and they haven't bought a car from the past, it's fair to say they're in the market for a car.
Yeah, for sure.
It's fair to say if they're coming for 2 hours and it's like, hey, I want to listen to the 5 minutes of what you need to know about servicing your car and the 5 things you need to know about this, and this. There's 50 potential prospects. Now, for me, it's always about 20% of my audience in any event, in any industry, are sellable then and there. However, you've got to refrain from actually selling them. This is the key, right? Is to go, hey guys, we know there's 50 in the room. 10 of them are actually looking to buy right now, and I've got the finance ready. You've got everything ready to go. They're the ones you almost want your salespeople to navigate around and go, hey, what did you love about that session? What was the key things you got out of that? Build some rapport and then maybe follow up with an appointment. But I think it's important for everyone to go in there and go, let's find 50. Let's educate. Let's put our sales hats aside. Here's industry stuff that no one talks about when I share with you today. But also know 20% of the audience are ready to buy, have the means, and are just looking for the final thing. And 9 times out of 10, it's the rapport they're looking for.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's like, okay, so we do the event's successful. We get 50 people to show up. We have this attention. We've created this engagement. I find, and it's funny because I actually find this in the conference industry as well. It's like you go there, you consume, you get jacked, you get excited, and then the conference done. And it's like, how do we continue to develop and build off of that attention and that engagement, that excitement?
Yeah, perfect. This is where your social media needs to come back in and play a part, right? So from the evening, you should have a videographer there. You should have a videographer who can take photos as well and do some video. And get them to record some content. And you might have your service department manager going, here's the 5 key things that we discussed in it. Now you've got a minute of him talking about, or her talking about that, and you put that out online. Or you put up some of the content that came from that. But I'd also start to get your sales team, your finance team, your others, just to start doing content online. Go live, do a couple of minutes on live, do a 1-minute video every week from every department on things that people must need to know about buying a car or financing a car. Now you've got this self-fulfilling prophecy. You got them to show up. They loved what you put together. They felt engaged. They felt a part of a community. Now they got back home and all of a sudden they're liking your page. They're engaging in the minute. Here's the finance team's 1-minute lessons from this week. And they're understanding that. It just starts to feed on top of itself. And all of a sudden, when that person, if they're not ready to buy, they go, you know what, I've got great rapport with that dealership. I'm going to head down there and test some cars out.
Well, because what we end up building is we end up building ambassadors. I mean, regardless if they end up doing a transaction with us or not, they become ambassadors of our business because they appreciate the transparency or the forwardness of us educating and not necessarily selling to them. So like you said, I mean, even if they don't purchase from us, they could be at work and Sally at the cubicle next to them, makes a comment. And, that person says, oh, Sally, there's this great dealership I went to. I had this amazing experience. These guys really give a shit. You should totally go, check them out and talk to them. Would you say, so like I said, we're trying to, after the event's been done, we're trying to continue to expand on the engagement, expand on that attention. I feel like email, everyone wants to go with email. I feel like email's dead. Like I don't like, there's 265 unopened messages on my phone. It's like, am I really going to consume every single one of those at a level that's actually going to resonate with me or stick with me for a period of time? Are you saying that, outside of, social media, how else would you recommend that we continue to engage and develop out the attention that we received at the event?
Yeah, well, I do think you need to lead with social media. So let's say that, they've finished the event, they came away, they're now engaged in there, they can see that. Again, though, you need to use this tool as much as you can, right? And an email in this day and age is just not going to cut through. We know that, right? We're getting hundreds of emails. It's not going to cut through. What's big, I think, outside of North America, and I think North America is going to start to pick this up more, is just text messages. Hey, I wanted to connect with you. I know you came last night. It was great to meet you. I just want to let you know if you need anything from us, or if I can help you in any way, here's a text message. But again,
save that number. You now have a bat phone, a hotline directly to the dealership. So whenever you're ready, we're there for you.
Yeah, that's cool. Advice, even if it's not for a Buick, and you just need to get a second opinion. I've been in this industry for a long time. I've sold a lot of cars. I know what I'm doing. If nothing else, just check with me to make sure, and I'm happy to help you tell you whether that's a good option or not. Again, we're putting the sales component to the side and we're becoming this expert. And experts make the money, and experts have the attention, and experts, even in times of tough, motor, it doesn't matter what the time's like. If it's tough, the experts always make the money. So I'd be continuing to use this as a real tool. And, I mentioned the strategy about the video. I think that's super important. I think that's going to build massive rapport. It's just most people don't feel comfortable seeing their ugly head like mine on here, recording it and then sending it out. But if you can get past that, this will be a very powerful tool outside of social media, outside of email, outside of the other old school things that people are doing.
Oh, it makes sense because, look, this device doesn't lie. Like it can't, right? Either you're authentic or you're not. And you're going to literally be able to tell within 5 seconds if your message was actually with the intent that's self-serving intent, or actually with the intent to actually educate me. And it's in my interest, not necessarily your interest, right? It kind of goes down to, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to give you a live example of me. I did a call with a prospect about doing some business. I can't remember exactly what it was. But I thought, you know what? I felt compelled just to send a quick video message. It would have been no more than 30 seconds just to say, hey, I love the connection and I love what you guys are on about. I feel like it's something that, we can help you with, where we can be a potential solution. If you're considering other people, please make sure you consider us in the future. And that was a quick 30-second message. I ended up getting that deal done basically because of the video. And I remember someone came back to me going, hey, the only reason we went with you is your product or solution was exactly on par with everyone else. But because we got that message and it felt authentic, we decided to go with you. They're using different senses. Do you mean in this day and age, if you're getting that call on the phone about that car, it's one-dimensional, right? If you can finish that off by going, hey, I love the connection we had. I know you guys got a goal to get in a car in the next 30 days. And if I can be any of help or any assistance, let me know. All of a sudden now there's multiple senses coming into the equation and you've just distanced yourself from the competition. And I think it's such a powerful tool.
It is. It really is. For dealerships out there, I really think putting on these educational events and making sure that our content is educational, like you said, is going to separate them, out from the pack. I agree with you. I think the best place to educate is the place that requires the most amount of information. The service is a really amazing place. There's so much questions. See, the problem I find with the service department is that there's literally a wall. There's a wall, right? You come in to service your vehicle, you drop your keys off, right? Then you sit in a lounge and there's a wall. You have no bloody clue what the hell is going on the other side of that wall. And I find if a dealership really through their content and through the development of their content, they can break down that wall and shows, here's what happens. It just builds that transparency and builds out that brand equity.
Yeah, I would even suggest that if you're a dealer principal or a sales manager, listen to this, is go and interview some of the mechanics working on the cars.
That's a good one. I like that.
You go, hey, this week on our Facebook, we've interviewed John, and John's been working with us for 10 years. There's no one better qualified to work on your car. And John has worked on 7,000 cars over the last couple of years, or whatever it may be. And just if they get the feeling of who is working on their car, or who is behind the scenes. I'd love to see, and what we're starting to do more with our business is I want to get people outside of me getting on and doing the content. If you're in a part of our team and you're passionate about this, let's do a video about them and their passion for this. And all of a sudden, if you've got multiple dealerships and you want to take your car to, you've heard about John and how passionate he is and what he loves about the engine on this particular car, you're going to choose John over someone you've never heard of or never seen before. And I think that's just another content strategy that all of a sudden now you've got multiple departments putting their 2 cents worth in on social, talking about things that are not to sell you, to give advice. The people will come in and John will start to be a bit of a cult hero in that space because people love his character and what he stood for.
No, it totally makes sense. So I have a question. Are you currently doing that with your team? You have, I guess, obviously multiple people on your team and they have a passion and they're authentic about what they do. Are you currently in that process of kind of helping develop their brand, working with them?
Absolutely. In our industry, we teach success. We teach, how to have a better life. So we must first and foremost be a product of the product. If my guys are talking to someone on the phone to come to an event, we need to have high energy. We need to be positive. We need to be goal orientated. And if you're not, it doesn't work. So transparency again is because they do this, they go back to their clients and do all that. But transparency is getting them to start to have a presence on our social and go, I've been with the company 4 years. Last year, I helped 312 people make a decision to educate themselves and help change their family or their business.
Yeah.
That stuff resonates, right? That stuff helps. It's the same with the motor industry. I would love to see somebody in my local area turn around and go, hey, last year I put 400, 300, 200, whatever it is, families in a really cool, safe, family-friendly car. And that's what excites me. And this year, I want to put 250 families in new cars. I know what that person does. I know they're a salesperson. But all of a sudden now, they have helped 200 families get into a safe vehicle that they love. So we're doing the same here. First and foremost, we need to keep growing and elevating ourselves as a business, right? as a team. But, next week we've got various people on our team going live from various departments. And I want the
That's
audience
awesome.
to see. I want the audience to see that Kayla in sales, who's been here for 4 years, who's helped X amount of people will resonate with her more than me. And I think that's what it's all about. It's about going, John in the service department, I loved his energy. I love what he's about. And I resonate more with John than Michael. And that's what it's about.
See, this is music to my ears because it's something I've been trying to push for a while. And it's one of my thesis that I'm just really trying to get out there as much as possible is that our brand is actually the the combination of all these multiple brands within the dealership. So it's like you think of your business. I'm thinking of the same way as my business, and the same thing applies to a dealership. This applies to, I think, every single business out there, is that the brand is the collective effort of all these individual pillars, being your people. And that is the content that we need to be putting out there. We got to be putting them out there.
100%. And I think, I remember you used to see the dealership adverts on the TV, and you'd always see the dealer principal or the owner, and you only got one perspective. And if you didn't buy into that character or that personality, it's fair to say you may not go, right? And leadership is a reflection through your team. Mm-hmm. I know that if I put someone out on my social who speaks with passion, enthusiasm, excitement, they're as much a reflection of me as the brand. And then all of a sudden now you've got this transference of leadership that goes down, and we're ticking off different personalities. We're engaging with people who resonate with her or him, or young or old, or whatever it may be. It's not just a reflection anymore of that one boss.
Yes.
It's a leadership component.
And that's the strength of what we have with social media, is that you have many different audiences that are showing up to your events, young and old and active lifestyles and singles and married people. And there's just a tremendous amount of audience out there. Back in the day, we had one distribution. So we only got one shot to put that commercial out there, and we only got one opportunity to share one message out there. And that, like you said, was normally the dealer principal that would have been front and center in that camera. Like, if they don't necessarily resonate with them as an individual, it may or may not work. Sometimes that person may just rub someone the wrong way. Now with the power of social media, we can all be our own distribution.
Absolutely. And I think in this day and age, it's about quality content, but it's consistently as well. You don't want to do one video that goes out there and then you don't do that again for 30 days. You've lost all that momentum. So, dealerships, the marketing teams need to look at building momentum, having a content plan that's actually put in place to get eyeballs. There's so much we can do now. Let's say, you do the video of John in the service department. It gets 400 views, it gets 50 likes and 10 people comment. It's so great that we can actually target people in our area for that. But we can go back to who liked it. And there's almost a little lead list. There's 50 people who like that. And then the marketing team can start to go, hey, Bob, we know that you like this video. Let us know if you're interested in finding out more about the benefits of buying a car, or what's important to you about buying a car. And it just continues this momentum. But you need to have consistent content going out. It doesn't have to be every day, but every couple of days there should be something that's adding value to your community.
It's got to be routine. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is, I tell a lot of people when they're out there and they're developing out their brand and their brand equity, that it's like working out. Okay, I want to lose 10 or 15 pounds. And that ain't going to happen overnight. And it's not going to happen in 1 week. It's not going to happen in 4 weeks. It's that consistent effort, that routine that I create of always going to that gym to two or three times a week. That's going to help ultimately get to my goal and objective. We need to take that same, you're saying, is we got to take that same approach to our content development.
Same as the event. You can't run an event and go, well, that didn't work, we're going to leave it. Do you mean, if after 1,200 events, if I stopped after the first one, which was not successful, then you wouldn't be here, right? So you got to pick a timeline, a window, and go, let's run one every month for 6 months. Let's take a snapshot of this. Let's look at how many showed up, how many bought, how many are still in the prospect line, and look at it as a proper business channel. It'll be something that'll be fairly cost effective because of the way that you can do it. But run a timeline. Do a content timeline for the next 90 days and dedicate teams and time to once a week initially until you get momentum. Then you might go, wow, we're building up our following, and all of a sudden our group page has gone from 900 to 1,800 in 3 months, and we're starting to grow that. And then you might get down to, well, every single day we want to put out something small. It might be a funny quote. It might be a video. It might be, Mary, who just bought the latest 2019 model, who is so over the moon, and she wanted to share with you her excitement. And then she does a quick 30-second thing of, oh my God, I can't believe I just bought this. That's my dream car. People love hearing those stories, right? So like anyone, if you sit down and strategize, you'll come up with 10 different content pieces that you can continue to put out in different formats of, stuff that's going to be educational. It's going to be entertaining in some fashion. Mm-hmm. It's going to be engaging. It's going to be something that, is not as sales orientated as we would think. So
it could be like a personal profile piece, right? If you're an avid surfer or a fisherman or something like that, you can put more something out there that you're passionate individually about. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the product you sell, right?
No, and it can also be here's Bob who just bought this 4x4, and here's him out posting on his Instagram, him loving it. Do you mean also having a look at what's the strategy after someone buys? Does the salesperson engage with them and go, hey, I love what you're about. I love your business. What are you going to go do with this truck now? And then all of a sudden you're following them on Instagram. You see they're out there on the Sunday using it to its full capabilities, and you message them and go, hey, do you mind if we share your photo of you enjoying the product on our social media? 9 times out of 10 people say 100% go for it, and you tag them. All of a sudden now you've got clients that you can take content, put back into your strategy and profile them, or go, here's what's her name using his truck on the weekend out in the country enjoying it. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think that's great content strategy, right? It's like make the commitment to those 4 or 5 formats, right? The educate, the entertain, the maybe personal profile, right? And maybe a customer profile. Maybe those are those 4 pieces of content that you stick to. You don't necessarily know which 4 are going to resonate and which ones are going to provide you the most, return on your investment right out of the gate. But commit to, like you said, that 60 or 90 days of every single week putting out those 4 pieces. Yeah. It's through that. It's like I don't know necessarily which exercise is going to support my weight loss as quick as I want to. So I am going to have to try out. I got to experiment a little bit. I got to do 3 or 4 different things, making the commitment though, saying no matter what, these are the 4 pieces of content I'm going to do. I'm going to do it every single week. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And I will wait the 60 days. I'm not going to change the strategy. I will stick with it, and then go back and take a look and see how it performed.
And I think it's to make sure that, there's might be dealer principals listening to this going, we just don't have the time to execute a strategy like this. And I really think you've got to be smart about it. Pick a window, pick the 90 days, but how about you get your marketing team to schedule the first 4 hours on a Tuesday where they collate this content, they put it all together. There's devices and machines now that you can put all your content in, and it will just schedule for when it gets distributed. So for people listening to this, don't think that this is going to stop you selling or take time away from your family or whatever it may be. Find block time, 2 to 4 hours, set up all your content for a week or 2 weeks, schedule it on Social Oomph, which is a free platform that you can schedule when it goes out, and it's done for a week or a fortnight. You don't need to think about it. So don't let these early time-consuming components stop you from executing.
No, and I think you're right. You have to be intentful with your time. If you don't block out that time, you will literally find 15 other things. We know we're business owners. Come on. There's always something we can be doing with our time. If we don't purposely, intentfully carve out that time, we just won't simply do it.
Sure.
But you know what, Michael, I think that's actually a great place for us to stop. I think the content here has been really, really rich. There's some awesome knowledge bombs that's been said here, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on and spending, this last hour with me. I'm really looking forward to getting this edited and getting it out there for everybody that would like to connect with you and learn maybe more about the events that you're putting on and what's coming up. It sounds like, by the way, there's some really exciting stuff. I saw your last post. I was like, that sounds cool. How can someone connect with you, learn more about your company?
Yeah, cool. There's 2 different ways you can do that. We can go to successresources.com, and that will show you all the events we do around the world. And then personally on my Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, it's always my handle is It's Michael Lane. So ITS Michael Lane, and you can follow all our stuff. You will see me, hopefully, putting some of these strategies we talked about into practice and hopefully educating and inspiring people to do the same.
And I love hearing that, because you're actually being the practitioner. You're not just going to say it and recommend it to individuals. You and your team are actually going to execute on it, and you're going to learn, hopefully side by side with a lot of people out there. I look forward to you documenting that and really following along with that. So thanks again, Michael, so much. I really appreciate your time. It was awesome to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks.
We covered a bunch of great topics today. What stood out most to you? Be sure to let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to like the post and share it to keep the conversation going. Be sure to check out Michael on LinkedIn and swing by successresources.com. You can follow Jason on all social media platforms by following Strategy with Jason. You can find him pretty well everywhere you can share content. I hope we were able to get you thinking. And until the next time, this has been Nathan with Digital Dealership Solutions. Have a great day.